Right, I am Miss Luna Star and I'm back with another vlog, and today I just want to talk about a common ancestor of Ethiopians by the name of Deshet. Apparently knew that Jesus Christ would be born. So I'm talking about a common ancestor of the Ethiopian people, so of the major tribes of Ethiopia, which include the Amhara and the Oromo and a couple of others. The Jimma people, allegedly they're Jamaicans, but they're from a place called Jimma, and the people that are from the Hara region, those people, yeah, those. So basically, we have a common ancestor. This is going way back, like that's how nations are built. But our common ancestor that we all share a link with, his name was Deshet. Now, this was 1,500 years before Jesus Christ was born. So he had a vision from God that Jesus Christ would be born from Mary 1,500 years later. Now, Deshet had his children, which were, I think, about 10 of them, but one of them, is it Magi? Yeah, Magi. Yeah, there was others. But the main, after Deshet, it's Magi. So Magi's his son, and that's also our ancestor, our link. So when he saw the vision, he got a star, like a star appeared in the sky, and the star, you could see an image of the Virgin Mary with Christ. Now God gave our common ancestor an image of Christ being born, and this was 1,500 years prior to when Christ was born. So he saw it in the sky. He saw a big, massive star with an image, an actual image of baby Jesus and his mother, the Virgin, the Blessed Mary, up on a star. So he went and he told his children what he saw and how Christ will be born on the earth. This was like 1,500 years before Christ appeared. So what he did after that was he had a church, like a holy church built near Addis Ababa called Washa Mikel. Washa Mariam. So basically his son, before Jesus was born, we had a church dedicated to Jesus and Mary built. So it was before Christ was born that we already had a church in Ethiopia. So this church was somewhere near the capital city, Washa Mikel. Must be that. Washa Mariam, Washa Mikel, one of them. So, yeah. So because they had that early vision that Jesus was going to come. Now, I'm convinced that one of the three kings that came to see Jesus when he was born in Israel was an Ethiopian king, because the royal family already had knowledge when Jesus Christ was coming, when he would be born, and they had knowledge that, the star, that big bright star that was appeared when Jesus was born, they know what it was. So as soon as they saw it, the king of Ethiopia made his way to Bethlehem to give the gift of, was it gold? Probably, most likely gold, because they were in Africa. So he was one of the kings, and he met up with his other kings. So there was three kings, and this king is called Magi. Now, we Ethiopian people, our common ancestor is Magi. So it kind of adds up that Magi was the king because Desha, his dad, told him that Jesus Christ is coming. But it can't be because it was 1,500 years later. So it must be his common ancestor. So like years later. So, but however, the name Magi links with one of our common ancestors. So maybe it was like Magi Junior, God knows how many. So this Magi went to Bethlehem and gave the gift of gold. So yeah, I just thought I'd talk about it and say that the connection of the three kings with the fact that Jesus Christ was coming, and he did come, and when they saw the star, that big bright star, they made their way because they just knew. Now other people say like the others were from China, so they made their way from China, and they went because they knew about the stars. So they had a vision of what the star was prior, so they knew that Jesus Christ was coming, and that's why Herod, the nasty king, was so angry because all these kings came from faraway nations to honor the real king of Bethlehem and Israel, not the fake horrible king Herod. So obviously Herod got really jealous when he saw the three kings coming to honor a real king, a son of God. So what did Herod do, the horrible Herod? He ordered the firstborn child of every Hebrew male to be killed. Now, my granny tells me that up to 400,000 children, boys of Jesus Christ's age, were slaughtered during that time. 400,000 Hebrew kids were murdered on the orders of Herod. People were hiding their kids. The soldiers would come into the houses in Israel, all over Israel, Judea, Bethlehem, that region that Herod controlled. He had all those little children, little boys, murdered while their mothers were screaming, and Virgin Mary was literally hiding her son. That's when they had to go as refugees to Egypt to escape the slaughter, because the man literally went mad and ordered every child, male born from the Israelites, to be murdered. And that's like 400,000 innocent children slaughtered. And there's a book which I read, Mary giving an account of what happened and how she saw one mother had a child of a little boy of his hand, and she would cry, and she was so haunted by the sounds of the children that were murdered on Herod's order. She could still hear them, and she felt so. I mean, it must have been a horrifying time. Like, you don't just get that, like 400,000 innocent souls murdered like that. You know, it it goes down in history, and that's what happened because the horrible evil Herod wanted to, kill the Messiah. And guess what? All the Hebrew families that hid Joseph and Mary, they knew who they were, and they still hid them. They didn't mind risking, because they knew that he was the Messiah, and that was Mary, and Joseph was looking after them. So when they went to Egypt to escape, they went through, at that time Egypt was occupied by the Greeks and the Romans as well. They all sort of gelled into one, and yeah, they went down through Egypt and to safety because they had to leave Israel because of Herod and his persecution, basically. But yeah, it seems. Just thought I'd mention it because it's quite interesting, and it's all very much related to what's going on now. And yeah, it's quite cool, pretty cool that one of our ancestors had a vision way, way, way before Jesus Christ was born. And obviously Hebrew people knew the Messiah was coming. They knew, with Elijah, they knew when he was coming, and he's also going to come again. I believe that he will come very soon. A lot of people are having sights of the chariots of Israel going around the world, literally keeping their spirits up, trying to lift their spirits up. But yeah, the Messiah will come again very soon, as it's that time again, and the end of the persecution and stuff. So I just thought I'd make that very interesting point, because not many people talk about things like this, because we all know that the Bible and, everything on the Bible has been stripped off of people in Africa, people of colour. They've been taken out of erased out of the Bible. The Bible's become a massive fairy tale for, Westerners only, and that's not the case. The old world, the superpower, was in the south, and the prophecy says the queen of the south shall come up in judgment, to condemn everybody. So we're going to see that that, what's the word? Re-emergence of the south rising. No longer will the north be on top anymore. You will see the south rising, and that's the beginning of change of what's happening in the world, and also beginning of time when we are approaching the days where we are getting closer to when the Messiah is coming, because now it's time. So yeah, it's just pretty interesting. And also it says in the Bible that more and more people will start prophesying. Literally towards the end days, they're starting to see a lot more prophesies. People are getting that power to see what's going to happen. And I'm not saying that I am prophesizing, but what I do have a knowledge of is seeing what I think will happen. And so far, that hasn't failed me. Now, I just may be very pragmatic and just see things clearly. I don't consider myself prophesizing, but I have a very strong vision of what will happen. And so far, nothing has failed me. Everything I've said this will happen has happened. Now, what I think will happen next, my very strong feeling is the destruction of Europe. I can see that happening very soon, whether it's a war on the continent or whether it's Russia taking over Europe, but it doesn't look good for Europe. UK is fine, it's not really part of Europe, but Europe is going to go downhill. There's too many egos in Europe. Every single country has a very egotistical leader, and from what I'm seeing, things are not going to go very good in Europe. Things are going to be bad. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm seeing, and I think that's what will happen from my observation. Another thing is, I'm seeing a lot of the sea level rising. It's going to be floods. Continents would lose half its territory. We may even see new continents created because there's a lot of activity going on the earth. There's going to be a lot of shaking of the earth, new formation. So I definitely see that happening. And another thing that I see happening is a lot of truth coming out. A lot of truth coming out, and what's the word? Melting of the lies. When ice melts and then truth comes out, that's what's going to happen. There's a whole lot of stuff underneath. When that ice, that cloak of lies melts, the truth will come out, and that's what I see. And I think a lot of people have a lot of visions, but they just discredit it. They see things, but they ignore it. They're like, oh, it's nonsense. So they don't really pay attention to it. But people really need to pay attention. They may be seeing these things because they want to tell other people, maybe because God wants you to tell other people about it and do something about it. But unwillingly, I'm seeing these things and I'm sharing it because I think it's the right thing to do. So, yeah, people need to trust their intuitions, and that's why I thought I'd pass this message on, because our ancestors, people in the past, were given visions 1,500 years ago, and they trusted it and it happened. So just letting you know that we're all connected to our past as well as our future, and what you will see in the future, you already have been given that knowledge. You just need to pay attention and say and see for yourself that that is what's going to happen. Like there's a strong sense of, oh, I see this is going to happen, and it's going to happen. You know, we can't stop it. So anyway, I am Miss Javina Star. I've been back with another vlog, and I'll be back again. Bye.